Unspeakable horror as details of sickening sex crimes and toxic family secrets come spilling out. Take a look at these 5 men, 3 of them lay ministers at their local church, as you contemplate the evil acts they are accused of committing 15 years ago. A Missouri grandfather named Beryl Mohler and 5 of his adult sons allegedly raped and sodomized children in their own family. Cops say a 26-year-old female victim has now come forward to say she and her 5 siblings were brutalized sexually as children in unimaginable ways. For example, she says the kids were forced to participate in, get this, beastiality. According to a criminal complaint, the young woman said she became pregnant and was made to have an abortion at age 11 and a half. She also charged that she and her siblings were forced to participate in fake wedding ceremonies with their adult relatives before sex. Plus, in graphic detail, much too disturbing for television, she describes a rape that the uncle allegedly committed and his chilling words beforehand, quote, he told her that they would become one person, end quote. Cops say the children were told to write down their bad memories, put them in a jar, and bury them. So yesterday, investigators began digging up the ground at the Missouri farm in search of those jars and other possible victims of this allegedly sick family.
Well, these are Class A felony forcible rape of a child less than 12 years old. And we believe that there are other victims out there. And we believe that people in the public can give us more information on each and every one of these suspects.
Who could these other possible victims be? Are they even alive? Or are they buried underground in the earth? And how could this alleged vile activity be kept under wraps for so many years? Tonight's big issue, toxic family secrets. I know you at home have something to say about this. Give me a call, 1-877-586-7297. Straight out to my fabulous expert panel, Stacey Honowitz, supervisor of the Sex Crimes Unit in the Florida Prosecutor's Office. Dr. Dale Archer, clinical psychologist. Boy, do we need you tonight, Doctor. We're delighted to have Judge Alex Ferrer, host of the show Judge Alex, and we're also very pleased to have with us tonight Deborah Burris, a former neighbor of the 77-year-old suspect. She has requested to appear in shadow tonight in order to maintain her privacy. We will talk with her in a moment, but first, Bill Grady, reporter with News Radio 980 KMBZ, Kansas City, Missouri. Bill, what is the very latest?
Well, the very latest, Jane, we just talked with some investigators here a short while ago, and what they tell us is that sometime this evening, an announcement will be made by the investigative agencies, and they also prefaced it by saying that there won't be any interviews granted this evening. It is just something we're going to release in the form of an actual news release. Now, we know that, this property has been scoured all day long today. It's over 55 acres, and so we don't know exactly what it's going to be. Obviously, we're going to be here until it's made.
Very quickly, Bill, how did this all come to light? This 26-year-old woman who says she was brutalized by these men when she was a child, she has siblings. Did they all go at once to the cops, or how did it come out?
Our understanding is that this case, the investigative arm of it, started back several months ago, and the 26-year-old lady was the first to come forward. Now, also, I've got to tell you, Jane, that Sheriff Allenbaugh has made it very clear that he is quite sure there are a number of victims out there, and likely they could be in various parts of the country. Now, a couple of minutes ago, we spoke with an FBI agent here in town who said that as of now, the FBI has not been called into the case, but we also did discern the information that a computer was seized from the farm property, and it's going to be sent for computer forensics.
But just yes or no, did the siblings of this 26-year-old woman also come forward and say, yeah, they did it to me too?
That's information that I don't have, and that's something that I know the sheriff has been very careful about releasing because he's very concerned about protecting the identities of these people. As you can well imagine, it would be pretty easy to connect the dots and figure out who the people were, and in sex crimes, everyone wants to be a little careful about that.
Tonight's big issue, toxic family secrets. How could this vile alleged secret remain under wraps while it was happening For more than 15 years until now, among other horrific crimes alleged in their complaint, cops say the Mohler family committed, quote, sexual intercourse with a child less than 12 years old by forcible compulsion, as well as, quote, the use of a child in a sexual performance. 3 of the Mohler men are lay ministers at the Community of Christ Church. The church says they've now suspended their licenses. But, boy, you have to wonder, Deborah Burris, you are a neighbor of the 77-year-old grandfather, Beryl Mohler Sr., how this could have been going on, these allegations, without anybody knowing it. You're the neighbor. Did you know that this 77-year-old man had these 4 sons?
No, I didn't, Jane. I never knew he had any sons.
Well, you're his neighbor for how many years?
I think he's lived there probably 15 or 16 years.
And so did you ever talk to this guy? How could you not know that he had 4 sons?
Well, I don't live next door to him. I live across the street up one house, but my grandchildren's bus stop was in front of his house, and we spoke almost daily when the kids were living with us, going to school. They no longer live with us, but he was just a private person. We would see him out in the yard, and we would speak.
Did he seem like a creep to you? Did he seem like a nutball, a chock full of nuts, crazy person?
No, he seemed like a normal grandfatherly type. He used to walk his little dog up and down the street. He would be in his little Bermuda shorts with white knee socks. He just looked like a little grandfather.
Wow.
He was soft-spoken. He was friendly. He was helpful.
Look at these people. I mean, look at these men. These are grown men. Judge Alex Ferrer. It's horrifying for me to look at the faces of these bearded men and to imagine what is being alleged, that these big, gigantic, heavy, bearded men were sexually torturing, allegedly, young children, girls. And, you know, one of the allegations, and it's almost nauseating for me to say it, I honestly can't even get it out, is that one of these children says they were forced to have sex with a dog. Okay, so that's, okay, we put it out there. It's that bad. What do you make of it?
Well, I mean, obviously it's horrible, horrible facts, and if they are guilty of those, they're definitely going to get what's coming to them. Because, you know, in Missouri, there's talk about possibly there being bodies buried in the field of children that were actually killed. I certainly hope that's not true. The children who live through this have enough scars on their own. But if it's murder, obviously they're going to look at the death penalty, because Missouri does have the death penalty. And even if it's not, those crimes carry a punishment of up to life in prison. And under those circumstances I've heard, I can't imagine a judge giving them less than life in prison. However, their bond is $30,000 to $75,000. How these guys were given such a low bond. I can't imagine a greater flight risk than facing these charges and given a $30,000 to $75,000 bond. You know, I can imagine them taking off and never being found again. That bond should have been 10 times that.
I 100% agree with you, Judge. Here's more of what the sheriff said during yesterday's news conference. Listen to this.
The children were told at a very young age that if they had bad things happen to them or bad memories, to write them down and to put them in a jar and to bury them, and those bad memories will go away.
Stacey Honowitz, you're the sex crimes prosecutor. Does that ring a bell, that kind of behavior?
Well, sure, Jane. And I think we're talking about, you were asking the other guest, you know, did you suspect anything? You know, pedophilia, child rape, these guys could never be pinpointed. That's why it's so interesting when people try to profile them, because the first thing you always hear is, that didn't look like the type of person, and we didn't know what was going on. Look what happened with Philip Garrido, you know,
he looks kind of like Philip Garrido, this 77-year-old dad.
But you don't, you know, you can't look at someone and say, oh, they look creepy, they must be doing it. I mean, pedophilia is secretive. It's toxic, like you said. It's secrets among families. And thankfully, these siblings, if in fact it is siblings, came forward all these years later.
Why do you think it took them so long?
About what was going on, and hopefully, if in fact it's true, they will be convicted and punished for these horrific crimes.